All right, guys, so this is an important video. This is exactly how I'm able to find 3K to 10K per month profit products very first try. Now, of course, you've seen on the YouTube, sometimes I'll have something that goes 5K per day in profit, but generally, if we can hit this mark, this is fantastic. And so I refined this list, so I want to go over it and I'm going to show you some examples. So this is super, super, super important. So the first one I really want to hype on is margin. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about margin as far as, ooh, how much profit am I going to be taking if I sell this product? No, this is what I use for a 30,000 foot view to quickly analyze the competition in the scope. So I'm going to give you an example in a little bit, but typically what we're looking for is a 3x markup if a product is under $40. If it's over $40, that's fine. We need a 50% margin. This is just because of the simple supply and demand curve, right? If there's a lot of competition, a lot of supply, and a good amount of demand, well, the price is actually going to lower, and you're going to see that there's very thin margins. And I personally don't want to sell in a space where I have to do like circus acrobatics in order to get a sale. So a good example is actually this one right here. So these are hearing aids. Now, this is one good example of kind of looking at the landscape. You can get these things for about like 30 bucks and people are selling it for 100 to 200, and it's really a unicorn product. It's not really likely that you're going to find something like this, and you can see that people are starting to catch on. Look, now people are selling it for $64, so now we're at a 50% margin. And you can keep on going down the line and seeing all these other products. But nonetheless, there are people making an absolute killing like Nano hearing aids. Now, another example that's a little bit more fair is like this, tactical gloves. These are gloves that you can actually get for around $5. And people are willing to pay $20 to $35. Well, this is actually not the tactical gloves we're looking for. It's actually just these two. And so this is a great example. Now, an example of it being very saturated is like this, custom socks. Now, originally you could have sold these things for 29 bucks easy. Now, as a lot of people started getting into this, now the margins are getting thinner, and look, you have people selling it for $12.95. Like, that's how much, truthfully, you can get it with shipping. So this is absolutely ridiculous. This is a good example if you're seeing a lot of Alibaba, a lot of Best Buy. It's just not worth to get into. Now, remember, this is just, we're going over an overview, just as a broad overview, and then I'm going to start getting into more and more details. So this actually kind of brings me into my next point, which is opportunity. What is the opportunity here? Now, in this course, obviously, we're going over a lot of good tactics in order to make your opportunity very, very good. Because the fact is a lot of people don't know anything about Google Ads. This is not an optimized listing. These aren't optimized. Like the fact that they only put invisible hearing aid, hearing bloom X1, this is terrible. What you could have put is hearing aids for seniors, hearing aids for the elderly, all these different keywords, and start ranking and increasing your impression share. So almost every product, we're going to have some kind of opportunity, but what is going to be an easier opportunity for us? So if I click on this one, the next kind of opportunity I was going to highlight was actually the landing page. Our landing page is going to be, I'm going to give you guys obviously the best landing page that converts. This is not bad. Like what they have, even though it's not great, the problem is that it's not bad. We kind of want to go after things that are not very good, because since they're going over, they're going to the older demographic. The older demographic is really looking for things like this. Just very kind of simple, crappy looking landing pages. I mean, I honestly would have removed these emojis for sure. They don't want to see that. They would rather see something more professional. This is really good. So you got to also know who you're talking to, and probably what is their main money driver is this phone number right here. I mean, you got to know who you're targeting. So this is not like a great opportunity where I'm like, ooh, I'm going to blow them out of the water. There's not much here for me to say like my angle is going to be better than theirs. And now, especially with this, like custom socks, like this is something that with point number one, I wouldn't even look into anymore because there's too much competition at a low price. So now the second thing I want to go over is customer price resistance based on niche. Super important, way underrated. And this is going to help you also figure out kind of your pricing and what you could even price your products as. And so in a simple term, what this means is what is someone willing to pay for that specific product in that specific niche, and what are they used to paying in that niche? So in the gifting niche, for example, people have a very tough threshold. There is a threshold on how much they're willing to pay because it's for someone else. But if it's for themselves, or if it's to solve a problem, or if it's like clothes or these nice new boots, people are willing to pay whatever because it's more of a vanity factor in there. So if we were to look at this, people are willing to pay, truthfully, like honest, legit hearing aids cost around $5,000. And I think that's even with insurance or whatnot. Truthfully, I don't know. I have no idea, but I know it's upward of $5,000. So when people see $200 or $700, their biggest question is this a scam? Because it almost seems unreal. Like this is more likely, like $2,700. But if we go over here in hair extensions, this is another really good example. You can see that there's a broad range of what people are willing to pay for this specific product. So if you're seeing there's a price ceiling of $140 and you're looking to sell at 70, well, good. That's a good position in the price ceiling. You don't really want to be at the tippy top unless you're really going to go ham on influencers and everything. Like a good example, actually, I'll give you guys is Try Snow. They went to the very top price ceiling. They knew that no one is really paying, like whitening strips, they cost like, I don't know, like $20. They went to $150. But it's because to whiten your teeth at a doctor's office is $300. So the price ceiling with a legitimate doctor with all credibility on the side is literally $300. But they had to really push their credibility and the results factor heavy in order for them to really charge at the premium price. And you can see they're even charging $300. They're literally at the top. So what I suggest is when you're looking through, if I can go back to my other example, you want to see this and you want to be below the kind of tippy top price ceiling, which I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Now, on the contrary, if you see, for example, there's a lot of people selling at a low price, like $6, $12. Now, you have a couple up here, $29 and $24, but for the most part, you're seeing now even $5.99. Jesus. Then you're like, oh man, this is going to be tough. This is just not going to be worth your time, honestly. With how many products there are out there, it's ridiculous. Now, if I go to the next point, oh man, this is going to be so good. Risky refund rate percentage. A perfect example I could do is like let's just look at weight loss devices. Like if we go right here, a lot of this stuff is not worth your time to sell because they simply do not work. And we look at this product, which I think everyone and their mom has seen. This is a product that has been blown out of the water and truthfully probably has had more refunds than most products because it simply just does not work. This is like a blatant, like obviously you're not going to get abs from putting something on your body that does the work for you. It's just a really good angle and people can make a lot of money with it. But if you're going to be selling a product like this, you're going to have a lot of angry customers. People are going to literally start filing disputes as you ship out the product. So you're going to be out the cost of goods, you're going to be out the marketing that you paid for, and you're going to start getting a little bit frustrated because you're going to be like, shoot, like how am I going to, restructure my refund rates? How am I going to, it's just not a good business and it's honestly a lot of anxiety. So you need to make sure that you have something that works. And if you're selling something that is breakable, like if you're selling something that's like glass, you also have to factor that in as well. It's not just about like problem solving products. Even products that simply don't work or have technical issues, you need to figure that out right away with your supplier because that's going to increase your margin. You want to try to go really low on refund rate. And even another thing that I've been experiencing is like user manuals. Redo your user manuals exactly how the customer wants. If they have a bunch of questions and they're pissed off about the user manual, they will literally file a dispute. And they're like, I don't know how to use it. So people are kind of weird on that one. Now the next one is SKU simplicity. You do not want to have a ton of SKUs because as you start scaling, you're going to have to be really savvy on stock prediction. Like, ooh, we need a small, a medium, a large, a black medium, a black large, a red medium. Like, it's going to get very, very, very complicated, and it's going to actually really hurt. Like, it's going to hurt your profits because there's no way you can constantly stay in stock unless you're going to really hedge your bets and buy a lot of stock up front. I personally don't like to do that. A good example is actually this. If we look at these hair extensions, if I was to go into this space, I would look to just narrow it down to like a specific type of hair. So if we went to something that's a little bit more specific, we could see that yes, there's different sizes, but there's less colors. Natural black, okay, cool. And there's just like a couple different sizes for the length of the hair. This is something I would lean more towards. So this is just one example, and I'm sure you guys kind of know where I'm going with this, but simplify your life with SKUs, and you'll really thank me later. So then the next one is demand and seasonality. This is really huge, and I really want to hype on seasonality because this is obviously where I first started. Seasonality means like, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, or even winter or summer. So that becomes a blessing and a curse because if we look at, I'll just actually draw it out. So some issues you might not notice with seasonality is if you time out the season right, you'll be like, oh man, there's no issues. This is great. Like, I'm getting all these sales. Like, I am so happy. But then as soon as the season starts to die, you're like, oh shit, I hired these people. I figured out my systems. I'm perfecting my ads, and all of a sudden now everything's going down. Now, how am I going to keep the extra new hires? When is the seasonality going to go back up? And so you're playing this game, a really tough guessing game, and plus you're going to have to like predict stock unless you're going to just go straight into drop shipping, which with the seasonality products, I was just drop shipping. So like, for me specifically, when it became to like Valentine's Day, oh, huge. And then I had, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and then, a couple little holidays here, but then, ooh, Christmas. And then after that, oops, dead for another month. So it was super hard to predict, who's on the team, how are we going to keep you guys? Oh, I promise we're going to still have a business by next Christmas. It's a headache, but it's also a cash cow. Because when you're up, you're banking on it, and it's definitely one of the easier ways to make money. Now, for example, if you were to go into, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but if we were to look at like Valentine's Day, everyone is looking at buying like a teddy bear, and so what a lot of people sell every single year, not just last year or the year before that, every damn year, it's unreal. It kind of surprises me. Are those flower teddy bears. You could see like $200. That's actually ridiculous, but around $60 is probably the range that I personally would sell. These things go insane around Valentine's Day, and all you have to do is time the spike. Okay, great, you got a lot of sales, and then after that, how are you gonna maintain that? I have no idea. But it's a good way to get started if you really want to, but understand it is a complete blessing and a curse. So if we were to look at like, custom gifts, if you were to go into like the customizable gifts, like even like custom necklaces and everything, this is a nice way to look at like where your spikes could be for seasonality. But truthfully, it's not really accurate. Like it's about 70% accurate. But sometimes you'll notice that, shoot, your Valentine's Day is going to be whew, and then every other day is like, it's okay. But then it spikes up again. And now, why isn't this completely accurate? Well, because even though there is demand here, it's not factoring in the competition. So some months you might have more competition than others. Like Christmas, you will see a huge spike, but is it going to be what looks to be 10 times more sales and profit than, let's just say, this spike, it could not be. It could be, 2 times more. So hopefully that makes sense. So this is just a broad checklist. I'm going to be going over more examples so that way we really hammer this in. But understand this is just the quick checklist that I go over just as fast as I went over with you guys. This is what I do mentally when I'm going over different products, right? So go over this checklist and kind of see, okay, what is my customer price resistance? Do I have some wiggle room? Oh, some people are willing to pay 120, some people are paying 40. All right, I can kind of sink my way in the middle there, but really become like the dominant company in that space by hyping on really good ad strategy, really solid landing page, and obviously looking completely legit, not like a spammy drop shipper. And also focusing on the angle of the product, which I'll be going over later in other videos. So hopefully this makes sense, and I'll see you guys in the next video.